Dinosaurs. Just hearing that word probably conjures up giant, lumbering monsters, right? Slow, dumb, doomed from the start. But here's the thing. How does a dumb creature survive for 165 million years? Picture this. You're standing in a forest that won't exist by tomorrow. The air tastes like ash. The sun's just a dull red smear behind a grey sky that never breaks. Somewhere behind you, something the size of a school bus is taking its last breath. This is the end of an empire that ruled the planet. But it didn't happen overnight, not even close. Here's what most people get wrong. Dinosaurs weren't fragile. They survived asteroid strikes, ice ages, climate swings brutal enough to erase entire ecosystems. Not once, over and over again for millions of years. So what was the secret? And why did it all fall apart in the end? About 150 million years ago, the planet took a sharp turn into the cold. Scientists have pulled fossils of small dinosaurs out of the ground in what's now the Australian polar region, a place that sat in total darkness for months at a stretch. You'd think the cold would push them out. Instead, they made it home. Sounds crazy, right? It gets better. A bunch of dinosaur species grew a rough coat of feathers, not for flying, just to stay warm. You've seen the movies, scaly hulking beasts, teeth bared. Turns out that image is mostly wrong. Some of these animals were fluffy, basically giant chicks, warm enough to shrug off a snowstorm. Kind of funny, isn't it? The picture in your head, huge, slow, clueless, is almost the exact opposite of what the fossil record actually shows. When volcanoes went off and blotted out the sun for years at a time, plant eaters had to switch up their diet fast. They started chowing down on ferns and conifers, plants tough enough to survive low light, stuff other species wouldn't touch. Without that kind of flexibility, they'd have been wiped out a lot sooner. Sea levels kept swinging too, up and down by over 100 meters again and again through the Mesozoic. Whole coastlines would vanish, then show back up decades later. So what did the dinosaurs do? They moved inland, then moved back out, following the water like they were tracking the planet's own heartbeat. Here's one more wild detail. Tooth fossils from the very last dinosaurs, right before the end, show some species could flip between eating plants and hunting small prey, depending on what was scarce. When their go-to food dried up, they didn't just sit there and starve. They rewrote the rulebook on what counted as dinner. And now, here's the part that flips everything you think you know. The asteroid that hit 66 million years ago wasn't the first disaster dinosaurs ever faced. It might have been the fifth, maybe the sixth. So why'd this one actually finish the job? It wasn't the size of the impact, it was the speed. Volcanic winters used to stretch on for thousands of years. Plenty of time for life to adjust bit by bit. The asteroid flipped the entire climate in a matter of months. Nothing alive had ever needed to adapt that fast before. Nothing was built for it. So who made it through? Not the biggest, not the strongest. It was the small, warm-blooded dinosaurs that knew how to burrow and hide. The direct ancestors of every bird you see today. They didn't survive on strength. They survived because they needed less and could move fast enough to disappear. So what actually killed the dinosaurs? Not the cold, not the heat, not hunger. It was that the speed of change outran their speed to adapt. You're living through a world that's changing faster than at any other point in Earth's history, and you call it Tuesday. Dinosaurs kept adapting non-stop for 165 million years. What finally took them down wasn't weakness, it was that time simply ran out. The last dinosaur didn't die because it couldn't survive. It died because the world stopped waiting for it to catch up. And maybe this isn't just a story about the past. Maybe it's a reminder. Adaptability always beats raw strength. But adapting takes time. And time might be the one thing none of us actually get to choose. If this one hit for you, drop a like. It tells the channel you want more stories like this. Share it with a friend because odds are they're just as curious as you are right now. And hit subscribe so you don't miss the next deep dive into history, evolution, and the strange stuff hiding behind everyday life. One last thing, drop a comment and let me know what topic you want next. There's a good chance the next video is exactly what you're already wondering about.